just earlier in the season. Now, I actually did a VOD review of that today, so I'm really glad that they picked it. So it's gonna make it a little. It's gonna mean that I'm gonna have I'll be referencing a lot what happened in that game. Tempra actually banned Ace and Kaid. Empire banned Capital and Mamai. Jess reckons there's gonna be a Capital ban. Thatcher, actually, I was going to say I expect Capital a Lion. Maybe they wanted to keep that kind of counter ban against Chaoxis, but no. The Thatcher, less common ban there for Empire, but it does force the Maverick play, which we saw from both teams last time they played against each other. Mamai, though, is very much the same. I feel like Tempra are probably going to get rid of the Kaid here, and that means it'll speed up them opening up those hatches on the basement. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, Team Empire, when they played in that game, they played an awful lot of Thatcher. They actually played him on every single round. So they have decided that they will go through the process of hindering themselves because it's for the greater good, or at least in their opinion anyway.
Yeah.
Starting off on Church and Arsenal, which, if I remember correctly, is also where Tempra started before. What we saw from Team Empire on those attacks was typically a kitchen drop. They put a lot of focus there. They would open up the Moto hatch with Maverick. They would open up the kitchen hatch with the Havana, drop down, plant directly underneath. And that was something that Tempra actually adapted to quite a decent amount, where they then moved on to place, barbed wire banshees, all sorts underneath to prevent Empire from doing that. But they actually were pretty successful in those kinds of attacks. The question I have here to you, James, is what are Tempra going to do to adapt to that, knowing that that's what Empire have liked to do in the past?
I think that we're probably going to see Tempra do something very similar to what they did against Empire last time, which is the roam. We saw a loose roam previously from Voy and Chaoxis. Typically, Voy was playing around the cache stairs, Chaoxis around garage, and Tempra actually found a couple kills from those positions. However, Empire, as you said, were able to execute through that kitchen hatch quite successfully without those roamers having as much of an impact. Perhaps we could see maybe the castle used to extend these roamers a bit, and it does look like maybe this is a pseudo SSG roam with some reinforcements here and bar, some soft barricades. The castle, there is still one castle barricade left in the pocket going on the pool door, and this is going to allow a lot more freedom for roamers through bar, as you can't cut off those positions as easily from the positions on the pool table window and such. But that said, the other two castle barricades are actually near the site, one in Oil Pit and one on the Moto doorway, which is strange because, as you said, Team Empire very much favor those kitchen executes, and that's further telegraphed by the combination of Sledge and Buck here, which are really good for mincing up that floor and killing any players in Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this roam is going to work, because obviously you see Durza here, he's up on the top floor in construction. He could get an early kill here, actually, if he can catch out, but he can't always get to that first one. He is deleted. And if I remember correctly, Tempra actually ran their roam a lot around server and garage before, so having Durza placed up in towards construction is a slightly different position. It looks like Team Empire were ready for it.
Yep, pretty nice there. I'm really glad, because the last time these guys played each other, Empire kind of opted to ignore the roam for the most part, and I don't think it was the right idea. I definitely think they could have gotten a man advantage if they had hunted out those roamers. Now, they hunted out the first one, but now they've kind of left P4 to his own devices, which does worry me a little bit, especially because there's no flank watch utility, no Nomad. And P4 actually might be able to find Dan through the hatch as well. But Shepard sees him, that's critical. Dan surely needs to be aware now. P4 is going to start to move on off. Always starts to try to cut him off, but there's still some freedom here for the Valkyrie. Dan watching to see if he tries to go down through storage, but Voy's there to support.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, there's two of them. P4 is actually just going to retreat. Both Voy and P4 just retreat straight down into blue instead. They know that Team Empire are ready and prepared for those positions that Tempra were in, and they get to work on the kitchen hatch, the rappel on the kitchen window, and that opens that straight up. Scythe is already positioned in there looking for a pick, but so far has not yet found one.
Good progress here for Empire. 5v4, numbers advantage, very much leveraging this kitchen push, but that position at AKs at the back of Arsenal is super pivotal now. Empire will need to clear it out. It's a nade to go through. I believe that destroys the shield, but Shinka is still alive. A second nade goes forward, but Shinka still survives that. Shepard actually
Oh,
drops P4, has pushed all the way into Deep Armory. That's so difficult now for Empire to deal with 4v4, that diffuser down.
And this is going to be really hard. Joystick took a ton of damage as well at the bottom of main stairs. Scyther's trying to do stuff from Kitchen, but still players from Empire are falling. Now Scyther joins those ranks, and in the end it all seemed to fall apart. For Team Empire, completely crumbled by a messy attempt at an execute, meaning that Tempra could just pick them apart and put that first round in their pocket.
Yeah, the lack of main stairs presence really, really punished Empire just then. It allowed P4 to just waltz on through the hallway and sneak back into Arsenal after Empire had gone to the effort of mincing up the entire kitchen floor to deny anyone in those positions. That on top of the fact that Shepard dropped without any kind of support and just kind of died there with the diffuser when the rest of Empire didn't look like they were ready to execute. That was really the issue for me for the Russians. But on the flip side of that, if we look at it from Tempra's point of view, it really looks like they understand how Empire attack on that Church and Arsenal bomb site, and they're exploiting those weaknesses. Last time Tempra played on that bomb site, in fact, I think it was the very last, yes, it was the very last time they defended that bomb site against Empire. Last time these guys played, Durza went absolutely nuts and retook Arsenal as Pulse and found a 3K. That's not too dissimilar to what we just saw right then from P4 on the Valkyrie.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because, as you say, you know, there wasn't anyone present at the bottom of main stairs that allowed people to make the rotation. But back in that previous game, Joystick would actually be at the bottom of main stairs quite early, and then later on wouldn't necessarily be. So it's almost like the timings have just fallen out of sync with one another and how they do that. Regardless, we'll have to wait to see if those same mistakes are made by Team Empire, if/when they eventually go back to attacking onto that site, because Tempra moving all the way to CCTV and Cash as their second bomb site, given that they won the first.
And so it is a garage take for Empire. One of the big weaknesses for Empire is they just tend to be a team that runs very similar strategies time after time, and it gets predictable. That said, they know what they're doing. They know how to do them well. And they've already found that initial pick onto Voy, a bit over-peaking, a bit overzealous from Voy. And that really has punished him right there. Last time these guys played each other, Voy had a massive headache. He was the opening death 4 times across the map. 12 rounds. It's a third of the rounds. He died first. Shepard took a hunk of damage there from that gas. Really nice smoke trick to counter that Maverick trick. Oh my god, too many tricks. And that's going to slow down Empire a bit and light up Shepard, so he's vulnerable later in the round.
I mean, again, they're just aware of these quite classic Empire takes. They open up Garage using the Hibana pellets. They open up the server wall using the Maverick. So at this point, Tempra know what to expect. And this is actually pretty aggressive positioning from P4. He's going to avoid the flashbangs as they're tossed in. It could still end up catching out some of these members of Team Empire. But no, P4 will be caught out himself by the nade coming straight in from Shepard. And that gives him his first kill of the entire series.
A player who's really struggled to get into it finally finds his feet, and he's done his job breaching that kennel's wall. Durza's on for a flank and might put some kind of pressure onto Dan outside the lobby door, but the pressure is mounting very much on that bomb site. Empire now outnumber Tempra significantly. The flank is cut off. This could be a flawless round for the Russians to get themselves some momentum and get them back in the game. It's all on Shinka. He denies the flawless round, but a 1 versus 5 retake is just about impossible.
The last smoke being thrown out, but all it does is buy him a little bit of time, as you say, highly likely Team Empire will clean up with that. A shame that they lost Joystick right at the end, denying them the flawless round, but what it didn't deny them was the round win, and those are things that Empire really need on the board if they are to take this to the third map.
It's definitely looking a bit better for Empire after you get I'm going to call that a flawless round. It was basically a flawless round. Just one impactless exit frag.
Screw semantics. I'm gonna change the meaning of words.
Exactly. It's called a Dev Martyr flawless round, where it's kind of flawless, but you scuff it up at the end, just like me. So I will say for Empire, yeah, great, get momentum back in it, and yeah, this isn't quite as a conventionally defender-sided map as Villa, but to find your second round in as an attack win is pretty good, and that's going to be a reattempt for Tempra. They're still locked out of basement, and they don't have the confidence to go over to Gym Bedroom. Now, to my recollection, Gym Bedroom was actually one of the better bomb sites last time these teams played each other. Bibbidi bobbidi boo, I'm going to check that right now. Gym Bedroom, yep, actually was the only bomb site that was won every single time it was defended by both teams last time these guys played each other. So it's actually a little bit of a surprise to me that Tempra has decided to go back to cash. Let's hope they got something a bit better than that basically flawless round that we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone for a bit of a change. You know, one of the things that I remember noting about Tempra on this site in the last game was, in the last time these two teams played on Clubhouse, was the fact that they were quite here and there about whether they wanted to bring wall denial. And in this instance, they've chosen not to. No bandits will be present here. Durza already losing some health. They do have the Vulcan shields that could help slow down some kind of push made from Team Empire and at least deny them the opportunity to make plant. And as well, the Warden, who has been seeing increasing popularity, I should say, of late. People loving the sights on the MPX and all that good, and his little penguin run. That's obviously the real reason. No, he brings a shield.
I've actually never heard someone refer to it as the penguin run, but that is my new favorite thing. No, never heard that. I mean,
But you can see it, right?
Yes, as soon as you say that, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's hilarious because he wears it like a suit as well, so he does look a little bit like a penguin. That is just, beautiful. But Empire, once again, find the opening pick here. P4 has not had much luck with the nades this game, and he's polished off.
I mean, all those ADS, I think all of them are up on the garage rafters. At least I saw... Yeah, they're all up on the garage rafters, so there was nothing to protect him from the nade. But the shield is actually still standing there in server, so they may need to invest some more as these ADS are attempting to be burned. Voi's still not being removed from his position, but he's going to take some incoming fire. In comes more flashes. There's a kill from Durza straight onto Dam, but you've still got the players outside. It looks like Voi is not having any trouble, though. And Joystick finds himself in a position where he has to watch these multiple angles for himself, just waiting until he can get his revenge onto Voi.
Oh, but this is so claustrophobic for poor Joystick, and he just desperately wants to take down that player on rafters. Durz is in a great spot. He can spot any player who tries to push on up those stairs, but Joystick drops oil. He could actually flank up the storage stairs and take down Durza, but he doesn't have any awareness of this position. Durza completely oblivious as well. Scyther to prime a nade. Not going to find anything. Not sure where that's going. Joystick should polish off Durza here. And there's the easy pick. Goes for the second. Can't land the shots. Now he just wants to cross and get back to contest garage. Voi is the player that Empire must eliminate in order to have a shot at executing.
Oh, well, there's Joystick going down, done by Voi, as you say. And Scyther, with such little help, is going to really struggle to move in through this breach. He won't even have the opportunity as Chaoxis brings him down. Now it's just Shepard. He doesn't have any drones of his own, and he's got to go up against 3 players with just about 10 seconds remaining. It's going to be a very tough task for him, basically impossible. And Voi, that key player you mentioned, turns out to be the final victor. That was the Penguin run.
We got to see it, Gio. Perfect. Really great hold there from Durza and Voi. Those are the 2 players that really spring to mind for that round. Yes, Durza was finished off by Joystick, who rotated up blue stairs, but that took so much time. And I really feel like Durza held his own there, supporting Voi up on the rafters, Durza at the bottom of the garage. Both of them found one kill early on. Voy, of course, in the 3v3 at the latter half of the round, managed to find one more Empire player. At that point, 23 seconds left. Empire desperately pushing in through the kennel's wall. That's never going to work out. And Tempra demonstrated that, hey, they might have really stuffed up their first cash defense, but they're going to get it right on the second time. And this is the thing that interests me, Gio. Why did they go gym and bedroom now that Church and Arsenal is unlocked? If you're confident in your gym and bedroom, which is what I theorized they would have because it was flawless for them last time they played it against Empire, then why not go there instead of going back to cash last round? To me, what this says is Tempra, once they lost that cash, they knew exactly what they had to fix. They knew that it was about that garage hold, and they knew that they could just implement 2 little operator changes and some positional changes and suddenly plug all the holes that were in that defense. That is such a good sign. Tempra know exactly what they're doing wrong when they're doing it wrong, and they can implement the fix immediately.
That's one of the most important things you want to be looking for in a team that is playing at this level, is their ability to do that and make the relevant adaptations. Now, what I'm really going to be looking for here is how they adapt, particularly with their mirror play, because Team Empire have been very methodical in their way of getting rid of the mirror, especially the one that will be on the wall between logistics and construction. They oftentimes play Dan downstairs. He will open up the ceiling above him and pop the mirror from below, while there is also a significant amount of pressure being applied to the logistics hatch from above with the players of Team Empire on the roof. So that is a specific part of this map slash site that has a lot of pressure applied to it onto Tempra, and I suspect it's something that they will maybe be expecting to happen once again. And if they can make that adaptation, it's going to make it even harder for Team Empire to be able to do that again.
Some X-Kairos go off, but the mute jammer there will prevent the majority of those pellets detonating. P4 also has impact, so he's ready to impact trick if needed, but P4 gets fully flashed. A nade comes over. Good thing P4 moves there. Always could go downstairs and try and flush out P4 from stock using the vertical holes, but for now, Empire, ooh, okay, I like that. So I think a nade destroyed the mute jammer, but then the impact grenade destroyed those X-Kairos, and Empire have once again hit a brick wall trying to flush P4 out. They are going to have always rotate downstairs, and eventually Dan's going to find him from the construction window.
Yeah, I mean, finally deal with it, but so much time. Chaoxis receives some pressure, but he can just move back. And actually, the mirror window that I spoke about before obviously won't be there because they 6-picked off of it. I think they did choose it originally. So that isn't even an option. But the fact that they've been locked themselves in, barricaded themselves into cash, wasted so much of Empire's time, and you still have this roam going on downstairs. Now, Always is out and about, but he's all on his own, and he could be caught out himself here. This makes it really difficult for Empire.
Yeah, what's so important about this roam from Voy and Durza downstairs, well, Always will find one, is they both have C4s. Voy polishes off Always. Another player to peek on through. Dan helps out. That was a perfect adaptation from Empire. They knew in the late round the C4 Plantanar would be to their detriment, so they disposed of those roamers early. Now they have a 3 versus 2 man advantage going into this execute, but they'll have to time everything right. Otherwise, the clock will be their worst enemy.
Well, Shepard's got control of the gym window. That's something at least. And Dan can begin to move in towards logistics. Scyther is his support as well. They're just blowing everything up, making sure that they have nothing in their path. And they finish it off, coming in from those different angles. And that means the scoreboard has been evened out in these first 4 rounds.
I really liked what we saw there from Empire. Really good on-the-fly decision-making. What I typically expect to see from Empire in terms of their strengths is having a really good plan and being really good at just executing the steps in those plan and getting it done. But when things start to go awry, when a curveball gets thrown at them, they do tend to slow down and then get forced into difficult positions, and they don't thrive in that chaos quite as much as Tempra do. But what we saw right then from Empire was really good awareness and game sense of what's happening and then being really fast at addressing it. Yes, they had multiple different ways of clearing out that solo Maestro player. inside of Cash, they had a breach trying to go onto the Cash wall from CCTV. They had the Buck downstairs trying to open up the floor. And they had Dan on the balcony watching through the construction window, which was eventually what got them the kill. As soon as they had that, Tempra rotated downstairs to play for double C4 plant style, and really at the turn of a hat, Empire were down there as well, contesting those players, and they traded them out, went 2-for-1 trade. And then at the end of it, there's only a few seconds left. Empire in a really difficult position. They have a 3 versus 2 numbers advantage, but time's not on their side. And they make sure to still use Dan's concussions to isolate that player in logistics and refrag it out. Just overall, a beautiful play from Empire. It's exactly what we like to see. And it gives me some hope, Gio, that this is going to be a really competitive match.
I certainly hope so. I mean, I would like to see it go to a third map, just given what these two teams are putting into it. Tempra going for a slightly different approach to what they did before, and you alluded to it at the beginning of the game, James, that Durza played very well on Pulse defending this site before, and we could have the opportunity to see that once again, as he has brought back the operator. And so if Team Empire once again fail to be able to cut off those rotations that are really key down in the basement, we could find ourselves in a similar situation to before.
This is very much similar to what we'd expect from Tempra. This is just about exactly the same as how they held it last time they played Empire. Voy is at the top of the stairs. Chaox is roaming around Garage. Durs is on the Pulse. He can get back to Arsenal when needed, but in the early round, he can just try and give info for his roamers. My question is, will Empire really try and force out players like Voy? Or will they try to just leave him to his own devices and watch flanks? At the moment, it's I think Scythe is dedicated to this, but he doesn't have a drone ahead of him and he doesn't have a teammate to assist. So this is kind of unusual. It might not work out for him.
Both his drones are out. He has actually backed off. I mean, looking back at round one, you would think that Team Empire do better when they do actually go hunting out those roamers. But again, we haven't seen Voy go down yet. In fact, he's looking relatively uncontested here in Cash. That could come back to bite Team Empire as everyone starts to move downstairs. The first of the hatches has been open. We saw that happen. It does take some damage. And there is also the pre-placed C4 about. You can hear the nades rattling around. There's the C4, but it doesn't get anybody. And Voy is still creeping upstairs.
Is Chaoxis on the bomb side, or is he still roaming in Garage as well? I'm not quite sure. Tempra are somewhat spread indeed. Chaoxis has dropped Oil Pit and back on the bomb site, but Voy here, a potential danger. Dan's watching the angle. Voy seems to be aware, or at least have a sneaking suspicion. That goes both ways. Who's going to win the timing? This could come down to just who gets lucky on the timing. Dan! Oh. No! But Voy whiffs his shots. And now Empire, 30 seconds left. They haven't dealt with this roamer. Durs is still alive, but it looks like Arsenal is clear. This is going to be such a difficult and desperate attempt at an execute, but they go not for the kitchen drop, but instead for Church. This is going to explode, Gia.
The flank drones giving them the information they need. At least they have that. And Joystick gets a kill, but traded out straight away. A 4-4 with just 10 seconds remaining, and Shepard's ready with the nade to go straight in through the church wall. But they have to do something here. They have no time.
There's the plants, Shepard.
There are the attempts. There's the plant attempt as well. Shepard cannot get off this as they are at 0 time. Chaos is taken straight down from Dan. And now Shinka has to do it all on his own. Up against Shepard, up against Dan. They're trying to take in the shots and they're trying to keep the angle on where they planted. Shinka knows they're out there, but does he know their location? Dan! Exactly. Dan saved that round. He saved that round and he keeps Team Empire in this game.
What a player. Slipping under the radar once again is Dan. Empire put all their hopes on a very, very last second, 15-second push in through Church. There were 14 seconds left on the clock when Joystick found that first pick onto Durza. Maverick, yeah, nice when you have some lines of sights in the Church wall to try and help you flush out those key positions behind the bars and execute, but man, if you ain't giving me a heart attack when it's Shepard getting on the plant with 1 second left on the clock and Dan had to cover against 2. He did just that, saved the round. Credit to Shepard, he had to sit there and hold F as well. Yeah, that's great. But Dan was the one who had to cover his teammate. He did it perfectly. Empire have actually taken the lead now on their map pick and for the first time in the series.
Kind of crazy, actually, to think that the first time in the entire series, this prestigious team who are looking for their route back to redemption have finally taken the lead. This was their opportunity, and there were many people, I saw on social media, I don't know about you, there were many people who believed that this was going to be a 2-0 for Team Empire. That I liked the C4 rotate. I did catch that one, by the way. Look,
yeah.
When you don't have impacts.
It makes me sad because once upon a time, Goyo had impacts, and now he's got proxy alarms.
Yeah. It makes me
like,
sad because if I do that in my games, I'm gonna get yelled at.
Yeah, well, just say, look, I saw a pro player do it, so
yeah,
that's what you're gonna say. I feel like impacts are a scarce commodity these days. I remember the good old days when Smoke had them, when Kaid had them, when Goyo had them.
Are you gonna cry about the past?
Yeah, and now I have to play Legion if I want impacts. Whoop! No. Hello, that's an impact.
No.
Always, once again.
Need to get rid of him. Last round. Hey, Voi's wandering around. This round, let's get rid of the guy and Chaoxis too. Why not?
That is great. We have talked about how Tempra love to roam on this bomb site, and they've already flushed out both of those roamers. P4 likes to play aggressive on these main stairs, but he knows it's very risky. He's just trying to shoot drones. Finally gets it. Empire, particularly always, has done a lot here on these entries, in particular trying to flush out those key roamer positions. And my main critique here, Tempra, is that they're kind of just playing the same old strategies that we've seen from them before. And if Empire did half the VOD research that I did, which, I mean, I'm just a caster, right? I don't know anything compared to what these pros know. I'm sure Empire has spent much more watching that than me. They should know what Tempra's doing, but they do get caught off. Good C4 from P4.
Oh, and the last C4 that was, given that, well, I mean, Voi's dead. I was going to say, given the Void doesn't have one anymore, but no, he's dead. So disappointing and an unfortunate loss there for Team Empire, but you certainly can't argue that Always didn't do his job, and now Scyther's doing his, getting the picks in through the hatch. He's going to go straight for the shield with the nade. Oh, maybe not. He decides to put the nade away, so not quite. That will still be standing. And Shinka, he's just watching out for someone to chop down oil. That's what's going to happen, but he doesn't quite get the kill.
One does not simply take down Dan. He will shut the round away. And Empire have gone up 4-2 here and taken away a very convincing attack half. What a way to do it as well.
Really, really good to have ended that half on 4-2, especially given that because this was Empire's map, Tempra got to pick which side they wanted to start on, and it's only natural that on Clubhouse you want to start on defense. So now Tempra are moving into the half that they evidently felt less confident on, and they're sitting this far behind. Now, of course, they could always catch up. We saw some excellent play on Villa. We've seen what this team could do, but it's still that mentality that comes in, and the fact that Empire are going to, at least in their own heads, be riding off of the momentum that they've now set out for themselves. A more disappointing score on Villa, not the performance they wanted to see, but the way that they've been not only proactively playing, but reactively playing in this map has felt so much more comfortable.
Yeah, and I mean, the easy thing to do is just look at players who are fragging out and start to talk about them. But man, if Dan and Always hadn't had such a consistent impact on this map, I really don't think we'd be looking at a 4-2 split right now. There are a couple of moments where I feel like the round probably wouldn't have gone that way if that player hadn't accomplished what they had. For example, Dan, yeah, he's top fragging right now. He's found some kills that maybe wouldn't have met, like just then a 2K in a 4 versus 2 isn't the most important thing ever, but the 2K that he found in the 2 versus 2 when his teammate was getting the plant down, those are the things that win rounds. Those are the things that's sealing the deal for Empire and giving them in the lead. And the critical thing here is that Empire have well and truly won their attack half. Last time these guys played each other, they both went 3-3 on their attacks, and that ended up with a draw. Empire could close it out here with 3 defense wins and push us to Oregon.
Look at this site setup as well. They've left construction wall open. I noticed that they'd reinforced the outside construction wall, and I was thinking, where have they not used the reinforcements elsewhere? And they've actually opened up construction wall, so they will have that line of sight straight through should anyone come in from the master side of the map. They've also opened up here on the cache wall, so they'll be able to throw in projectiles, potentially deny. Is the first mirror window present here on server. Joystick's not going to be present anywhere as Voy secures that first kill for them, and they work to get the rest of the wall open.
Oh man, that's a tough pill to swallow when your smoke player dies with 3 gas canisters in the pocket. I'm pretty sure that both Always mirrors have been actually popped as well. The one on the kennel's wall, and the second one, I assume it was at top red. Didn't quite see it, but yeah, that's pretty significant. Yeah, how did that mirror get popped? That's really odd.
I did not actually see.
Yeah, I heard it, but I didn't see it. But yeah, that's basically 2 operators worth of utility completely nullified there. Always also lost to C4. So Empire really not a great position to be in right now. Tempra well and truly winning this round thus far. They have numbers advantage. They have completed a couple of the tick boxes, but they need to decide if they're going to commit to a construction take or a garage take. At the moment, it looks like garage. They're going to have to deal with that player at the top of the rafters there. Oof, hello.
Well, Durza won't be able to challenge that. You said Always maybe not going to have as much value after losing both the windows and the C4, but it can still just be a very heavy operator running around. I don't know. She clunks, man, but he knows that Chaoxis is down here. This is like some kind of standoff. Could be a clunky standoff, but actually Chaoxis is looking the wrong way. He could find himself getting caught out if he moves too much into the line of sight. And he does. Always played it patiently like the predator he is, and he can move straight back up. And now Tempra just have 3 players remaining, cooking a nade to be thrown in, but they are lacking the manpower.
But here's the execute coming in. 23 seconds left. 2 versus 3, but it's going to be really difficult here for Voy to help. He's only got these angles through the Maverick holes. He can't enter. The C4 misses. Shinka goes for an awkward plant spot, but Dan, the man himself, runs out onto the balcony and finds 2 kills. Voy's sitting here with just nothing to do, but Shepard will find his head at the end of it, and Team Empire go up on their defense and take us to a 5-2 scoreline.
Oh, I shouldn't have laughed so much at the end. It just makes me laugh when it's literally the last 3 seconds and an attacker will jump in just trying to desperately do something and then they die. It's like you could have saved your KD and you didn't. You were a martyr for a cause that actually didn't turn out to work in your favor at all. So yeah, despite the fact that Team Empire did lose some of that key utility very early, it still worked out. It still was fine. And I think, you know, the decision to try and do the kind of take that Tempra did go for through the garage was definitely kind of influenced by the fact that Empire had control with the way that they'd set up. It wasn't like there was a construction wall to open. It had already been open. That was going to be very difficult to challenge. And now Team Empire are coming down to the basement, down into Church and Arsenal. I nearly said CCTV and cash, and I had like a moment where I 404'd.
Sorry, we all have our senior moments.
You don't. You're like 3.
Yeah, something like that. Now, what I was going to say is I hate to focus on kills and stuff, but I really feel like Dan and Always have had so many really impactful rounds. Like, think about that one, right?
Oh, man, yeah.
Always, he pushes down from garage rafters and just swings the player on the garage door. That was his first kill. His second kill was downstairs onto Chaoxis. Following that, Dan found those 2 kills from the run out on the CCTV window from Con. When the plant was going down, they were the only 4 kills that really mattered at that point in the round, because of course the final kill onto Voy was just a stat padding, really. Voy was ineffective, no chance of winning the round. So if you think about it,
cherry on the cake.
Exactly. Always and Dan basically single-handedly won those rounds, at least in terms of the playmaking. And that's what's super impactful, why I'm super impressed by those 2 players.
And I think what's also cool about that, right, is that other than Shepard in the first game on Villa, none of the players in Empire are doing badly as far as kills go. I mean, Joystick's KD isn't great so far in this particular map, but overall it's fine. It's just that those two are really standing out, and it's really nice, especially with Always, because he's kind of been quiet and in the shadows a bit more. He is the newest player on Team Empire, and he needed some time, you know? And it's definitely nice to see, and this is when we need to be seeing it for them. But what we also need to be seeing is Tempra showing up as well. They did so much in Villa. They're trying to put their names on the map. They can't let that slip away from them, and right now it's looking like it could be doing.
Tempra going to keep Team Empire guessing. Opening up a variety of hatches does leave their options open. If I have a look at last time these guys played each other, Tempra really favored the dirt and blue pushes, and we saw some really impactful dirt defenses from the shotgun players, I think it was Always. But we'll see how Empire hold on and whether Tempra decide to pressure dirt in the late round. At the moment, it's Mainstairs, potentially a Moto blue push. Joystick, in fact, is the player in dirt currently, already anticipating that potential presence from Tempra. But thus far, I think this is actually a Moto blue push.
That was an early death for Scyther. I actually thought maybe Dan was going to be able to catch something, but instead the first kill goes to Tempra. Right. Always turns things around, and Tempra needs to have the tenacity to hold on to this.
No.
So Shepard's just chasing down these players. He finally gets traded out, and it's a 2 versus 2 for these teams, but it's a constant backwards and forwards, and it leaves just Joystick versus Chaoxis. Chaoxis is really lacking in health, and he knows that Joystick is going to be present here in Armory. He gets some damage onto him. Is he going to go for the diffuser? It looks like he's backed off and that he's heading over there, but Joystick knows where that diffuser has been dropped. There's so little health on the board for either of these players, and Chaoxis is just going to try and creep in from behind. In goes the flashes. Is it going to work? Will he take advantage of the situation? He still hasn't found the kill, but Joystick does it instead, and Team Empire continue their reign of terror here on Clubhouse.
The Russian Cyborg gets the job done. The Russian machine may be rusty, but they've managed to put pedal to the metal. And Empire are on match point with 2 straight defense wins. They could end up with a flawless defense half here and honestly embarrass Tempra on Empire's map pick. Gio, this, I think it's safe to say, has been a tight series overall, with 2 not very tight maps, one swinging quite convincingly in Tempra's favor, and now Empire looking well and truly at home here on Clubhouse. I think we're going to see Oregon Empire have to just get the nail, get that plank of wood, slip it over the coffin, and start getting to work.
I just... Look, we're about halfway through the first day of the EU November Major, and yet I want to say this has been one hell of a major so far. We have one series where it constantly went to overtime and you didn't know who was going to win until the very last map of the very last round of the very last map of the very last game. And then here, it's like a pendulum swing. You had a great performance from Tempra on Villa, and suddenly it's fallen in Empire's favor here on Clubhouse, and they look like they can't be stopped. And you're just thinking, who the hell is going to take it on Oregon if we end up going there? I mean, Empire only have to win this next round to take us to that map.
And one of any of the next 4 rounds will be a win for Empire in regulation, and then overtime is still a possibility for them to win it there as well. Oregon, I do feel, does favor Empire. I'm going to have to deep dive into my notes to kind of really come to a good conclusion on that one. It's been banned a heck of a lot by Tempra.
Down into the archives.
We don't have a lot of... there's no border in the map pool anymore. No more archives, sorry.
Oh. Yeah, true. I mean, there's archives in Consulate.
Yeah, true. True. My bad. All right, we will go into archives later. I would love to see some Consulate this weekend, hopefully. Let's dig into this one. It is... oh, nice. Empires as well. Probably why Tempra banned it. So let's take a gaze at this. This is a gem defense, and there's an extension over to Cash. It's Joystick here. He has impacts very similar to what we saw from Tempra, but it was the Maestro that they played, and very similarly to what Empire did to deal with it, it's a player below. The nades, however, without info, aren't going to be enough to deal with Joystick here. And Joystick's actually going to default back, so either with some audio to cover, and Empire have actually just given up cash for free.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually really interested to see how that was going to go, just because of how stringently Tempra wanted to hold on to cash. They still won't get the X-Kairos to pop, but because that's been empty, they don't necessarily need to. I like this position from Always, though. It means that if anyone does decide to vault on through into logistics, he is there to catch them out. He will also have a C4 in hand as well, so he's a real threat down below, and they have these angles set up as Dan's watching straight into Master as well, should anyone decide to go in for the door. And this is where you see the rotation start to come through. P4 is probably going to open up the Logi hatch. And this is something that Team Empire played very aggressively last time, but right now it looks like Scythe is kind of in the depths of the corner, not looking to be too overzealous.
Medics has just said there's a pre-placed C4, not quite sure where that one is. That's one hell of a run out for Joystick. Scythe furthers this man advantage. Empire are set up and primed for success. Here we go. Tempra, what have you got to show for us? Just 2 players left. You started map 1 with a bang, but things fizzle out with nothing but a mere whimper. A flawless round for Team Empire. Gio, we are going all the way to Oregon.
What a disaster that last round was for Tempra. It just felt like it was all falling apart, sand through their fingers. And as you say, James, heading over to Oregon, where all of the answers will be put out in ink. And to be perfectly honest with you, it could go either way, judging by the performances. There's Always and Dan just showing